All right, peace. I'm back talking about world affairs. And if you haven't been aware that the United States has struck 3 bases, nuclear bases in Iran. Well, that happened a few days ago. And I want to talk about the reactions to what's going to happen, what possibly can happen due to this attack on Iranian nuclear capabilities, right? The Strait of Hormuz, which is not far from Iran, borders Iran and Oman, which is the bottleneck point for oil, natural gas, as well as the Suez Canal. Okay. So not only is it going to affect the price of oil in the United States and in Europe, but it's going to put a lock down on the oil reserves and the oil from the People's Republic of China, right? Now, the United States has to send some of its naval resources to Southwest Asia, West Asia now, however they can get in, right? To bolster up the defense of American service persons in that region from West Asia to Southwest Asia. I just really got a call from my mother, and one of my homeboys is just recently come in from Qatar and is expecting his family coming from Qatar. See, I'm going to digress. See, world events affect you in ways other than just the policy of your country. But when it begins to affect your loved ones, people that you know, people that you care for, whether they're military personnel, whether they're personnel that live in foreign countries, right? Then you begin to believe in peace and prosperity. But yes, they have just attacked an airbase in Qatar, right? Knew it was coming. Largest Air Force base outside of what I would guess Fort Hood in Texas would be the air base in Qatar. All right, but see, the Iranian diplomats and it slips me what his position is, but he's in Russia right now dealing with Vladimir Putin. Russia and Iran are, they running buddies, right? So what about the pop? Looks like Russia is probably about to go to pounding on Ukraine, right? Go to pounding on Ukraine. And what can the United States say? They're going to have to run with the same old lie of weapons of mass destruction. That was the same playbook coming out of George Bush administration. So, people are skeptical at best about whether Iran was enriching uranium to produce a nuclear weapon. Small possibility that they were, but more than likely they were not, because they had signed a a nuclear treaty with President Obama that Trump came and discarded, right? So now, what leg does the United States have to stand on? You started a tariff war against China, right? Now you hit their source of oil for their booming economy. They're not going to take nicely to that. You've attacked them two ways economically, right? And your naval resources are, for the United States, are scattered throughout the world. So now the Pacific Fleet is undermined. The Pacific Fleet is unmanned, and reeling from a couple mishaps in dealing with the Houthis, right? You had, in the last month or so, you've had 2 F-15 bombers slide off of carriers, right? And then you had one of the captains of the ship relieved of his duty and another one put instead, and the same thing happened, right? So now you got the Dragon being hit economically with tariffs and oil shortages that are produced by the United States, right? Produced as a reaction to things that are under the present administration, right? That's what I'm saying. Now, here's the kicker. Now, suppose China just right now decide they want to go take Taiwan, right? It's within the realm of possibilities, right? Because the United States is looking another way, right? In terms of helping out their running buddy, Israel, right? Just think about it. You know, I made a little video on geopolitics a month or so ago. 6 views, right? You know why? Because if they can keep you dumbed down with less than a 3rd grade, 4th grade education in terms of geography, you're going to have a 3rd grade, 4th grade geopolitical analysis, right? You're not going to be able to put things together because you don't have the basics. And you only listen to what you see on TikTok, TikTok, or Facebook. That's where you get your news from. And then the major news sources, they're definitely controlled by outside forces, right? Not to mention government forces, but, you know, basically influential people. So where are you gonna get your news from? If you don't have a geopolitical outlook, you know, coming from what you know, what you study, you know, throughout high school and what you've seen throughout life, whether you've been in the military, whether you college educated, whether you're somebody who traveled, or you just somebody who just, you know, you may read and study, and you keep a sharp dialogue of world events. But look at what's happening to now. Look what's happening right now due to the use of force where diplomacy could have been used, right? If it's, and I would dare say that it's true that there's been a strike in Qatar. You know, we probably have entered into another Mideast conflict, military conflict, right? And I can guarantee you that Russia and China are going to react in a way in which the United States is going to be forced to make another move, right? Russia is a big man, China is a big man, and Iran is not a small boy. And the United States is spreading itself thin, right? If you just look at it, the man has sent the National Guard and the Marine Corps to Los Angeles, California for immigration issues, right? Unfair immigration policies, right? And that brings me back to another thing, all right? So when this oil starts to dry up, who do you think they're gonna look for to get the oil from? That's right. Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, right? Joe Biden tried it. I'm sure Donald Trump's gonna try it. He's gonna exert some sort of political force on Maduro, but Maduro will gladly come off of some of that oil for some of that loot, some of that guap, some of that money, some of that coin, right? Keep your eyes tuned to what's going on in this globe, because it's it's getting ready to blow. That I say peace. Spend your day living and learning. I just say, get you some sort of analysis of what's going on, and I'm gonna tell you, go ahead and get you some canned goods, some water, go get you some gas, go gas up, because the price of that petrol's fixing to go up. All right, peace.